has been a challenge. Sometimes I look back, and when I look at my journey, kind of where I started and where I am now, sometimes I pinch myself because if you would have asked me 10 years ago, Ginette, do you see yourself in the job that you hold now? I would have said no.
Hello everyone, this is Ali Tarnishi, the host of One of Us podcast. Our podcast focuses on story of hope, message of hope, people journey that turn their struggle to success, their mess to a message. And the purpose of this podcast is just to inspire, to motivate, and to break the stigma of mental illness and to ask for help if you need help. And today I have her Honorable Ginette Petitpas. Hi Ginette.
Hi Ali, thanks for having me with you today.
Thank you for accepting the invitation, and we are happy to have you here today. Thank you. Ginette, let's now join it and get to know you. Who is Ginette, and tell us about your journey, and we just want to know who is Ginette as a person.
Sure. Well, I'll start off maybe from a bit of my childhood. So I'm the youngest of a family of 10 children, 9 surviving. I grew up in Dieppe, New Brunswick, and did all of my studies there, graduated from the University of Moncton. I studied in the field of social work, where I had a phenomenal career as a frontline social worker. Started my career in St. John, New Brunswick, with the Canadian Mental Health Association, where we worked and dealt with mental health on a regular basis. And when you talk about addressing the stigma of mental health, that was a big part of my job, is really to demystify and to make sure that people, understood that, like you say, it's okay not to be okay, to make sure to get the help that you need. So I did that for a period of time, and then from there I was very fortunate that I was able to move back to Moncton, where I was able to secure a job which became my career as the coordinator for victim services, where I predominantly worked with victims of domestic violence, sexual violence, and any major crime. And also periods, people that suffered from periods of darkness, if you will, and needed to get some help and some support. So I did that for 23 years.
23, wow.
23 years.
So we got the right person to talk about this today.
And then from there I started my career, my journey in politics. But I have to say I had a phenomenal career as a social worker. I would get up every day, Ali, and just really looked forward to going to work and being able to help people in their journeys. I was able to help them, but I always say that the clients that I worked with on a regular basis, I learned and gained so much from them as well. They allowed me to be with them during their journeys, during some difficult times, and I was able to grow and learn from them as well. So I've had a phenomenal career, and very happy that I've been able to serve my community in that manner as well.
Amazing. So you have a lot of experience, and you've been around that mental illness and all that counseling and stuff for a while. And Ginette, can you tell us your journey toward creating a message of hope from any struggle that you went through in your life as a child, as a teenager, as an adult? It's just so people can see Ginette as it's not everybody have everything shiny and beautiful. People go through darkness to be where they are.
I think when you talk about the message of hope, I think we really have to remember that when we set ourselves in goals, anything is possible. When I tell you that I grew up in Dieppe and I'm the youngest of a family, of 10 children, my dad was a janitor, my mom was a stay-at-home mom. So my parents worked very, very hard, to raise, their family. And things didn't come easy for them. My dad at some points worked 3 jobs. To get, to make sure that there was food on the table and, to have a roof over our head. We always had lots of love. Our bellies were always full. But, things were tough for my parents. But they certainly taught us the value of hard work. And I look at my upbringing, and I'm very grateful for everything in the struggles, that our families had. When we talk about mental health, specifically talk a bit about that. When you've got a large family, mental illness is sometimes, family members suffer from mental illness. I've got one of my eldest brothers was diagnosed with schizophrenia at a very young age. I remember he returned home. He was married with his family, and then when his family broke down, when his mental health really deteriorated, my mom and dad took him back in. And I remember back then, Ali, I was probably 12 years old, and most of my brothers and sisters were moved on their own. Being the youngest of a big family, many of my brothers and sisters were married. And then, I was home with my parents by myself. and another sister. But I remember my older brother moving back home. And we're talking back in the 80s. People didn't talk about mental health and mental illness back then. And people certainly didn't talk about schizophrenia. That was a scary, taboo illness. People didn't know what it was.
Definitely.
But I can remember being a child and just spending a lot of time with my brother and seeing his struggles. And I saw my brother not wanting to go for help. I saw my brother having to be institutionalized. I saw my brother going on his medication, getting better. I saw my brother stopping his medication. So I journeyed through that with my brother. And sometimes people ask me, why social work? Well, probably that certainly had an influence on me as well, because I was there with my brother during that time. And I remember seeing his struggles as well. So I think the message, though, is that my brother now, he's in his 70s. He's doing well. You know, we've come a long way when it comes to mental health. We've come a long ways when it comes to research and also treatment. And now my brother, you know, he's retired, he's remarried, he's functioning and living a normal, happy life. So, you know, there is hope, there is treatment out there. Sometimes it's ups and downs, and it takes, you know, lots of sometimes it's time, sometimes
courage.
It's patience and courage. But I guess there is light at the end of the tunnel, you know. And when I look at my brother had faced a lot of darkness, you know. And I can remember as a family, we kind of didn't know what to do with that back then. And again, we're talking, you know, 30, 40 years ago, where we didn't talk about, you know, mental health and mental illness. Fortunately, times have changed now. And we still have a lot of work to do when it comes to addressing the stigma. But I think more than ever, people know that if there's an issue, if you need help, you know, help is available. And as we were just talking before we started the show, you know, just last year, we launched a new helpline, 988. It's a national line that if individuals are struggling and they need some help, you simply have to pick up the phone and call 988. That number is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And when you call, there'll be someone at the other end of that line, and will be able to listen to you. And then from there also to refer you to possibly other services that are available within the community. Because when someone needs help, we need help now. So we want to make sure that people know where to go and know where to turn to.
Definitely. And this number, like, they can call anywhere in Canada, anywhere, and they will be directed to where they are, the province or city.
So how it works is that if you call from, let's say, 506 from New Brunswick, when you call the 988, because we're calling from 506, it'll be someone in the province of New Brunswick, so they know that you're from New Brunswick. And then from there, the person from New Brunswick will be very familiar with the services that are available in the area. If you're calling, let's say, from British Columbia, whatever the area code is there, it will be someone from that area. So that's how it works. And again, it's free of charge, and we've had a lot of calls since it was launched last fall.
Okay. Thank you very much for sharing that, because 988, that's the key. A lot of people, they are suffering in silence, and a lot of people, like, they have that, like, stigma, or the people will judge me, or people, if I talk and if I go see a psychologist or see something, you know. So we are trying to talk about this and make it's okay to talk about this topic about mental illness, and because half of the cure, Ginette, if as we know, is admitting and accepting that there is something wrong.
Absolutely. And the other thing that sometimes as well, I think we all go through dark times in our life.
Part of life.
It is part of life. And, you know, everything is not always rosy. I mean, it can be a loss of a job. It can be the loss of a loved one. It can be many issues. And sometimes it's not mental illness. Sometimes it's just darkness. And we need to make sure that, you know, we can get the help that we need to overcome that. And again, as I say, we all go through some issues in our life. You know,
Definitely.
And to your point, talking about it, acknowledging it, certainly helps us, you know, overcome that.
Definitely, and to go back, like, as to get, you know, Ginette, is there anything that you overcome as a person, as a lady, as the youngest child in the family, some struggle that you went through and you turn it to an opportunity?
Well, I always say, being the youngest of the family, such a large family, you have to find your voice because sometimes you can be overshadowed, you know. So I guess finding my voice as a young person, you know, has been a challenge. Sometimes I look back, and when I look at my journey, kind of where I started and where I am now, sometimes I pinch myself because if you would have asked me 10 years ago, Ginette, do you see yourself in the job that you hold now? I would have said no. I was quite happy and content in doing what I did. But I guess every experience that I've had, every person that I've met along the way have certainly helped me gain insight, gain confidence as well. In my role as a community leader, I've always wanted to be there to help folks that were in need. And empathy goes a long way with respect to doing that. And again, I think my childhood, my upbringing has certainly taught me that. My mom and dad have both passed away now, but my mom certainly taught me a lot in life. I told you earlier that I come from a modest family. I can remember, Ali, that there was an individual that would walk in our area. I grew up on Champlain Street in Dieppe, and there was an older man, an older gentleman that would walk every day, and he was probably mentally challenged, suffered from some issues. My mom would always welcome him in, probably 2 or 3 times a week. If it was cold in the winter time, would make him a cup of tea, would make him a sandwich. And as a child, I couldn't understand why my mom
absorbing all that.
I was absorbing it, but I kind of, and I can remember as a child, Mom always kind of taught us, you know what I mean? Like, whatever we have, we need to share with others. It doesn't matter if you don't have a lot, you can always share. And kindness goes a long way.
Definitely.
And my mom, I guess, I have to say, has always been she was always my mentor, and I looked up. My mom taught us an awful lot in life. My mom perhaps wasn't educated going to university, but she was a wise person. And she certainly taught us the value of being kind to others and taking care of people in your community. Definitely. And see here, you get emotional talking about about your mom and Patty, and you're right, my friend. It's kindness. It's go a long way, because be kind to people. You never know what they are going through in their life. Sometimes a smile, sometimes a word, sometimes it could be somebody like have social anxiety, having so many different things. Just be kind. Like, you never judge the book by its cover. You never know what's going on in their life. I know, sometimes we look at people and we think, geez, they've got it all together. They've got the big job, the big house, like everything looks wonderful. And we don't know the struggles that people are going through. You know? So to your point, kindness goes a long way, and not judging people, because we certainly don't know the obstacles, that they're dealing with and they're struggling with. Some people will share, some people won't share it. But I think as individuals in our community, kindness goes a long way. Definitely,
kindness will go a long way. And what is some of the advice that you would give to someone who is struggling or who is going through some difficult time or some darkness, so they can find hope in the middle of darkness?
So I think we talk about kindness.
Yes.
One thing that that I forgot to mention, kindness to others, yes, but kindness to oneself.
Yes.
And we talk about when someone is facing a dark place. Sometimes I think it's really important to be kind to ourselves, and not to forget ourselves. Sometimes we go through challenges. We want to take care of our kids. We want to take care of our parents.
Yes.
We want to take care of everyone. But who do we forget in all that?
Ourselves.
Ourselves.
That's a good point.
So I think, we've got to remember that. That's number one. And again, it's okay to ask for help.
Yes.
We don't have to be in charge and taking care of everyone all the time. And you're a parent. I'm sure that you recognize that so often your kids are the priority. Sometimes we're bosses. We want to make sure that our staff and everyone around us is okay, but we forget ourselves and all that. So I think when we are struggling, it's really important to make sure that we ask for that help. And talking to someone sometimes. Sometimes it can be professional help, but sometimes it also means, showing our vulnerabilities and speaking to people and saying, I am kind of struggling right now. And having that outlet with someone that you can trust, that you can confide in. I know that in my work, I've got a few colleagues, friends that when I'm really struggling professionally, that I can pick up the phone and we can go for coffee or we can go for a walk and kind of let it out. But we need to be able to do that. If someone is struggling as well, that just really can't get out of that dark spot, though, it's important to ask for that perhaps professional help as well that we need. And as I indicated earlier, if you don't know where to go for help, we do have that national number 988. But the other thing as well that people don't realize, sometimes depending on where we work as well, we have access to free counseling services through our employee family assistance programs. So again, if people have jobs and they have benefits, many times I'm always surprised that people forget about those free services that they have. And those services can be put in place like usually within 72 hours. When I used to work at Victim Services and I used to work with individuals, I would always ask them, and I was always surprised at how people just didn't think of that. But again, sometimes when we're in a dark place, we just kind of don't recognize kind of the services.
We just stay in the box and focus on the problem, not the solution sometimes.
And sometimes we just numb it. And sometimes we just, and it can be different ways. Sometimes people numb it by, overeating, not sleeping, sleeping too much. Sometimes people will use alcohol, drugs.
Escape, find a way to escape.
And again, they're not healthy tools. So we want people to get the help that they need. And if they don't have access to employee assistance programs, we have the mental health clinic or different services that are available within the communities. Another program that we have here in the Greater Moncton area that we're very fortunate for our youth, for people that are young teens and young adults. The Atlantic Wellness Center is an agency in town that provides free counseling services for youth that are under the age of 21 years old.
That's very important. If we share it with the audience, that's for the youth.
The youth, yeah.
Okay.
It's called the Atlantic Wellness Center.
Okay.
And again, just a wonderful organization. If you just Google them, people will be able to go there for free services. Again, the mental health clinic is well in town. That's through the province of New Brunswick. But again, getting to know the services that people need. And so often, when we are in a time of crisis, we don't know what we need at the time. So finding the services is really important. And that's why this national 988 number was so important, to make sure that we can at least direct people to where they need to go. When I used to work at Victim Services, Ali, people would find me because they made a complaint to the police. But so often after everything was done, people would say, Ginette, we didn't even know this service existed. Oftentimes you only know the service exists when you need it and when you find it.
Definitely.
But it would be better if people would kind of know, where to go when they are in that dark place, to make sure that they could get that help. Because so often if you can get that quick intervention at the very beginning, you don't have to be in that crisis state for a long period of time. You can see the light, you can find the hope, you can see that. So then from there, you kind of help them in their journey.
Definitely, it's some great information you shared here. And yes, sometimes when in that dark place, it's hard to act, it's hard to ask for help because you are numb. You just think there is no hope, there is no escape, there is no way out. And I think that's when you have to reach out to a friend, to somebody you trust. Because I think what people, they are afraid is just, they're afraid if they share the information, people maybe will know. And somebody, it's okay, just share to somebody you trust, somebody that you can connect with, because you get it out from there and at least you will feel at ease. And that's when that person you share it with can maybe guide you to the right direction to ask for some help.
When you carry bricks around all the time,
yes,
it's heavy.
Very heavy.
So you need to kind of share that load. And sharing that, sometimes sharing our vulnerabilities, kind of our fears, our insecurities, it's not easy to do that, but doing it with someone that you trust, and sharing that load certainly makes it a whole lot easier. And the walk is a whole lot more pleasant when you're not doing it alone, when you can have someone to hold your hand and you can walk together in that journey. It just makes it better.
Definitely. And there is a saying in Arabic, we say the cave you are scared to enter may hold the future or the fortune that you are looking for. So sometimes being scared to share, sometimes being open about what it could be your solution. It could be that somebody may be going through the same thing and will say, this is how I find the solution, this is how I find the treatment. Might guide you somewhere, that because the most important thing is just we don't want people to suffer in silence. There is a lot of invisible one that people, they are not sharing, and we lost so many people in since COVID, either people commit suicide or people just die in silence or people just overdose, and that's why one of us, it could be you, it could be me, it could be any one of us. Each one take a different path.
And you're absolutely right, it can be any one of us. It can be our brothers or sisters or children or a spouse. there's a lot of struggles out there right now. You know, COVID has certainly, it's been tough on a lot of people. And it's been tough for people to kind of get out of that. And for some people, it's tough to get out of bed in the morning. You know, it's just simple things like that. So again, making sure that people, know that there is help out there for them is really, really key. And again, as people in our society, in our community, we talked about kindness, it goes a long ways. And being a friend and being there to help people, and sometimes it doesn't mean that you don't have to have all the answers. Sometimes it just means being there to listen to people as well.
Yes.
And allowing them to share. And like I said, carrying those bricks along with them, you know what I mean? It can go a long way.
Or holding to that rope for so long.
Exactly.
Just let go.
Yeah.
I think will be great. And as you mentioned earlier, something about meaningful conversation. If you stack something and you are really stressed out and don't know, reach out for someone. That it could be even like somebody in your family that you trust, and we'll just talk and have a conversation, meaningful conversation, and be present at the moment. And they think that's will go a long way.
And you're right, being present at the moment, you're bang on there when you say there. When someone is sharing with you their deepest, darkest vulnerabilities, or just where they're at right now, being with them at the moment and listening to them certainly goes a long ways. I know as a former social worker, I didn't always have all the answers for people, but people knew that I would listen to them, and I would do the best that I could in trying to help them along the way. But just listening, that is the best tool, and skill set that anyone can have.
Definitely. And being a social worker, my friend Ginette, probably you see it all. You see from different, like working with people come with like mental illness, people like they have it all. Like, what is the most common thing that's people when we are talking about mental illness in general, that people like when they are facing it, when they are dealing with it, what is some of the advices I would say that you can give to someone, especially from a professional?
Well, it really depends, because so many people suffer from different types of situations or illnesses. Sometimes it can be anxiety, it can be depression, it can be dealing with grief, it can be loss, it can be a whole lot of different things. But again, self-care is really, really important. We can't take care of others if we can't take care of ourselves. So making sure that self-care, is in place is really a priority. And again, it can be a multitude of things. For some people, it just means not working 120 hours a week and having a bit of a balance in life. Sometimes people just haven't struck that balance.
Yes.
And we have to make sure that there's time for self-care. For some people, it's dealing with loss. They've lost a loved one, and they're dealing with grief and all of the phases of grief that come with it. So again, to make sure that people, understand what they're going through, and that what they're going through is very normal. I know that when I worked at Victim Services, we dealt with a lot of situations that had lost loved ones, that had lost something in their life. And grief was a big part of that, and understanding the phases of grief, and that grief is hard work. It doesn't just happen, you have to kind of work through it. It was very important. And again, sometimes the best medication that we can also have is going out for a walk.
Yes.
It's sleeping.
Nature.
It's taking care. It's nature. It's taking care of oneself. So sometimes that can be the best medication that we can do. And I think as individuals, we all have to find what works for us. How do we deal with stress? When I'm really stressed and I'm having a really difficult day, sometimes it means going for the walk, going for a really brisk walk.
Reset.
To reset, yes. Or sometimes it just means going to bed really early and getting a good night's sleep, and then from there I'm ready for the next day ahead. It just depends what it is for different people, and for some people it does mean getting the help that we need professionally as well.
Definitely.
So it depends where people are at, with what they're dealing with. And going for help is not a sign of weakness.
No.
To the contrary, it's a sign of real strength when someone says, you know what, I need to get some help to help me move along in all of this. So people should not be scared, of asking for that help. Because I know when people came to see me and to help them with their journey, I saw kind of that flower bloom afterwards. And sometimes people, said, I should have done this a long time ago. I should have had someone help me along this journey. And, they were able to really bloom after that.
Amazing. And they say on your cap, it's the strongest family. And family is the key for everything. And sometimes the family, it's not necessarily it has to be like somebody in your family, your mom, your dad, your brother, sister, family. It could be like a close friend. It could be like somebody you have that meaningful conversation with, and that can make it strong, can make you share with them, can make you bloom as a flower, as you share, as you said, and just be connected. Choose your tribe.
Choose your tribe, and your tribe is, as you say, it can be family, but it doesn't always have to be biological family either. I have members of my tribe that are very, very near and dear to me, and that I trust with my life, and they may not be family members. Some aren't family members. So you're right, and you have to choose who's going to be in that tribe with you.
Definitely, because some people, not everybody, as I said, like not all your follower, your fan. But you have to choose people that encourage you, people who read between the lines, people who can like know when you are not even saying a word, know what's wrong, and can cheer you up, can guide you, and can help you. And darkness, my friend Ginette, will bring us to. I like having the conversation with you because this topic is mean a lot. Myself, I went through depression. I went a lot of stuff. I was a single dad, raised my son, all that stuff. So I know what that means. I know how it is hard. I know sometimes you don't want to wake up in the morning. Sometimes you don't want to go to work, and it's hard. It's tough, and it's hard to go ask for help, especially for men. And that's one thing, because especially in our culture, and I think most of the country, man is strong. Man not supposed to cry. Man not supposed to ask for help. And this is a big mistake. That we should like no you just, only women cry, only women like ask for it. No, it's something that we have to know, and something we have to ask for help. And crying, it's just almost like smiling or laughing. When you're happy, when you're crying, it's just like it's something going on inside, and you're letting out. So ask for help. It doesn't matter if you're a man, you're a boy, you're a teenager. Just ask for help.
I'm so happy that you mentioned that, though, Ali. It's really, really important because, again, to your point, when we talk about mental health and the stigma that's still very much, I think we've done a lot of work in Canada with respect to addressing stigma, but we still have a lot of work that needs to be done. But especially when it comes to men asking for help, we still have a lot of work that needs to be done there. It doesn't come naturally to me, it seems, and it should.
Stubbornness and sometimes,
but sometimes. When people realize that they can get that help, then they see, that it's okay. It's okay not to be okay, but it's okay to get the help. And I think that oftentimes with men like you that are speaking about it publicly, though, Ali, it encourages others to get involved, others to get the help, and to say that, it is okay. So we've done a lot of work, but there still continues to be some work that needs to be done.
Definitely, and there is a lot of organization that, especially with Bill, they are doing Let's Talk, and Bill Canada, I think, like they have it every year, like for the Mental Illness Month, and they're talking about like Let's Talk. And the purpose of this podcast, Ginette, is just like because a lot of people, if we talk about it a lot, if everybody have the courage to talk about what's going on, you never know. Somebody could relate with your story. You could save somebody's life that's there waiting to take their life, or they are there to do something. So share your story and show how you went out from where you are at, because talking about it, it just will make it like it's okay to talk about it. It's normal, just like if you have diabetes, if you have a headache, if you have anything else, it's the same thing. If you go and see a psychologist, or if you take a medication, it's normal. Like it's just chemical in your body that's not working, just to adjust it, to balance it.
Well, mental health is health.
Exactly.
If you don't have your mental health, you don't have good health.
Definitely.
So we have to really think about it. If I had a broken arm, or if you had a broken arm, you go to the hospital, you wouldn't think about it twice.
Definitely.
If you were having a heart attack, you would go to the hospital, you wouldn't think
with
about
a
it
heartbeat.
twice. The same applies though. When we're struggling, and again, mental health is health. And we just need to make sure that we find the help and the services that we need in order to treat that. And also when it comes to substance use and addictions, because so often we treat mental illness with that by trying to numb it. And again, that can lead us to another road of despair. So I think if we can get the help that we need earlier on, it can certainly prevent a whole lot of complications.
Definitely. And sometimes like we focus a lot on the physical appearance and the physical fitness, but we totally ignore the emotional fitness or the invisible one, which is like that's what we should like work on the muscle inside. That's what we need. Like work on every morning and do a lot of work. To if the inside is good, definitely the outside will look good as well. But if the outside is good, but you ignore the inside, you will break down definitely.
But you know, when we do a lot of personal work, emotional work,
Mhm.
and finding who we are as people, that's hard work.
I know. That's why we avoid it.
That's why we avoid it. But again, I think when we really want to journey on in life and really kind of explore that, and get to know ourselves better,
Mhm.
and to become even better people, it takes courage to do that.
Mhm.
And it's deep.
Mhm.
Sometimes it's uncomfortable.
It's hurt.
And sometimes it's uncomfortable,
Mhm.
you know. But it's important, you know.
Mhm.
And I know that I strive every day to try to be a better, you know, to be better. And I think that as individuals, we should all try to do that.
Definitely.
Yeah.
We should start reading the manual of our life for reading the manual of others. Because a lot of people.
That's just it, you know, and when you're writing your manual of your own life, you know what I mean, and it's not comparing with others, you know, it's Ginette's journey, it's Ali's journey, and one journey is not better than the other.
Definitely.
And our journeys are all very complicated and different. There's ups and downs that we've all gone through. But those ups and downs certainly bring us resiliency as well, and we're able to overcome. And also to help others, I think, with that.
Definitely. And when you read your own, when you buy a fridge or a TV or a computer, whatever, you read the manual to understand that, so you get it right. So if you don't really know the manual of your own life and trying to read somebody else's manual, you understand that person and you're almost like copying that person, trying to be a copy of that person, but you ignore the original, which is you, and you created original. Why try to be a copy? Try to.
And the original, we all want the original.
Exactly.
No one wants the copy. We want the original. We want the original, authentic self.
Definitely.
Because I know if Ginette tries to be someone else, Ali, it doesn't work.
No, definitely.
I could try, and we've all tried in the past. You know, we try to, wear these different masks sometimes. But at the end of the day, people can usually see through that. And I think people appreciate just people's authentic self. And authentic self doesn't always mean that it's pretty. No. Sometimes it can be messy.
But that's who we are.
That's the journey.
That's who we are.
That's exactly it.
And I think one of the, thank you for getting to that point. I think what's going on right now, Ginette, especially with the social media, with the phone, with the internet, a lot of people see different celebrity and they want to be those celebrity. And that's why our new generation and a lot of things are like, I want to be this celebrity, I want to be that. But they are trying so much to be that, but they don't see the journey that person going through. They don't see what Ginette going through to be like where she is right now. Like you have to go through a lot of darkness. Because you put the seed in the dirt, it takes a lot of time under the dirt. Like there is light, there is water, there is a lot before it can and become a flower or become a plant.
Absolutely. In social media, no one puts the dirt and the work that needs to be done. I mean, let's be frank, what we see on social media is not reality for the most part. And our children are exposed to that now at a very young age. I mean, I really try to stay away from social media as much as I can. Make sure we use it as tools. But when I look at our young people right now and I see them at the restaurant and they're just on the phones, there's no, there's no conversation anymore. One of my nephews, I remember a few years ago, we were at their place for Christmas, at his mother's place for Christmas, and his girlfriend was there. He was just early 20s. And they were both sitting in the same room, but they were texting each other. Like, you're in the same room together, you should be talking as opposed to texting each other, you know what I mean? But it's a different generation, I certainly understand that, but to your point, if we compare ourselves to what we see on social media, that's not reality either.
Definitely.
We have to be aware of that.
You have to be honest, you have to be true and be present.
And authentic.
And what are some coping mechanisms or strategy that have helped you maintain resilience during difficult times?
Great question. Again, I think that for myself personally, self-care is really important. Making sure that simple things like eating right, exercising, even drinking lots of water, sounds simple and basic, but sometimes we forget about that. I can tell you when I'm stressed, my appetite goes out the door.
Okay.
And I have to.
So you get some sign. You
it's not when I just lose my appetite, but I know that, I have to, you have to maintain that good diet. And again, sometimes we think we're too busy to exercise. That's the time that you have to go exercise. Taking that, and it doesn't have to be 2 hours in the gym. Just going for a walk, and kind of getting those endorphins up certainly helps tremendously. Those are things that I do on a regular basis, even on my crazy schedules when I'm in Ottawa or wherever I am. I really try to take some time for self-care. I preach it, I do the best that I can, but I'm not perfect at it either. Like everyone else, I struggle when the days get busy. When people also need additional help though, Ali, my message to them again is to ask for help. And again, if you don't know where to go, call 988. They'll be able to direct you to where you need to go. And don't forget about your family, your friends, and your tribe. I like that that you're speaking my language and you say that. Whoever's in your tribe that you can trust and confide in. If you don't know where to go and if you don't want to call anyone right away, speak to someone that you trust, and maybe they'll be able to direct you in that right direction. And if they don't, I'm sure that they'll be able to find someone to help you. And if not, again, 988 is certainly a quick and easy number to remember, free of charge, 24 hours a day. Someone will be at the other end of the line to speak to you and to make sure that they can refer you to the agencies or the services that are available in your area. And finally, I think just a bit of a recap when we talked about kindness. Don't forget yourself and all that, because so often we're so busy taking care of other people that we forget about us in that. And sometimes we forget about us, we're the victims of all that, So we need to make sure that we put ourselves first, because if we don't take care of ourselves, we can't take care of anyone else. You can't take care of your kids.
Definitely.
And whoever else that's, a part of your family.
Definitely. And the last question, my friend, like how can an individual support a family member who are going through mental illness or facing stigma?
Well, I can tell you, with my brother, going back to my brother many, many years ago, when he was going through, his darkness and his illness, we didn't know what to do with him at the time. Again, we're talking many, many years ago, and if I look back now, probably the best thing that we could have done as a family was to educate ourselves. Personally, maybe switching just gears a little bit, but just to highlight that, my mom has passed away now for the past 3 years. But 10 years before her death, she had been diagnosed with dementia and Alzheimer's. And I didn't know much about that whole illness. It wasn't a part of my world that I had dealt with professionally. So what did I do back then? I called my sisters, we're 4 girls in the family. I had found a course that existed about dealing with family members that had been diagnosed with Alzheimer's and dementia. So we registered for the course. It was at Family Services Moncton then. That agency doesn't exist anymore. But we took an 8-week course to find out about how to deal with a parent or a family member that has been diagnosed and living with Alzheimer's and dementia. And I can tell you, educating myself, my sisters as well, us getting the education that we needed on how to help my mom through that journey was really, really important. Because at least we didn't have all the answers, but at least we knew where we could go to get the help and the support that we needed. So as a family member, I think the more that we can educate ourselves, if we know that a family member is suffering and living with an illness, the more that we know about it, the more that we can help them. Because I can tell you, for my mom, that course was the lifeline that we needed. Because there was some dark days there too as well, for her, but also for us, because we didn't know how to help her. And we wanted to make sure that we could do the best that we could, but again, we needed to make sure that we had the tools that we needed in order to be able to do that.
My friend Ginette, thank you very much for being with us today. And it's amazing to have to dive into this topic and talk about mental illness and then just see it from different perspective. One of us, the purpose of it, as I said, it's just to make it okay to talk about a topic like this and break the stigma of this. Last word to the audience, my friend Ginette.
So, Ali, I just really want to, first of all, thank you. Thank you for having this conversation. And it's important to have this conversation when we talk about health and mental health. It's a package. It has to go together. So I think the more that we can talk about this and demystify, all of this, it certainly is really helpful for all those that are listening. And again, I guess if there's one number that you can remember if you need any help and you don't know where to go. Again, don't hesitate to call 988. That is a national number that's available all across the country. It's free of charge. There's someone at the other end of the line 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They're there to listen, they're there to support, but also they're there to provide you with the referrals of the services that exist within your community, so here in the Greater Moncton area. So again, it's been really nice to have this conversation with you, and I certainly hope that we'll have an opportunity to meet again.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. One of us.